Okay, now this will be the lecture for Chapter 7, War in the Asia-Pacific region, or rather more apt question for it. How did war start in Asia-Pacific? Okay, of course we're looking at mainly Japan. Okay, as contrasted to Chapter 6, that one is looking at how did war start in Europe, and that one we're looking mainly at what did Hitler do. Okay, so this one we're looking at how did Japan cause the war to start in Asia-Pacific. Okay, this is just for your information. Never mind, let's skip past that. Okay, now these slides are closely tied in together with our textbook. So as you can see here, crisis and conflict. Okay, so according to the textbook, so if you have the textbook with you, it'll be good. It'll also be good if you have our notes with you as well, the notes that we've given you. Okay, which looks something like this. Okay, uh, this is the Manchuria notes. Okay, the notes that we have are organized according to Manchuria, Southeast Asia, and China. Okay, but the textbook is organized slightly different. I will point out the differences. Also, I will let you see the textbook, how the organization is important as well. Okay, so let's go into this. Now, the timeline is also slight. Okay, I cannot say slightly. Okay, it is important. Okay, for you to take note of. Alright, for example, when war started in Asia Pacific, okay, when we use the phrase to say that war started in Asia Pacific, right, we are looking specifically at the year 1939 onwards. Okay, that's when Hitler started the war. Okay, of course there is some sort of war ongoing before 1939, and that was the invasion of Manchuria, which we will be looking at first. And then but the invasion of China took place around 1937, but the proper invasion of Southeast Asia is around 1941. Okay, and that one we also look at Pearl Harbor. But for this particular lecture, this section, we are looking at just Manchuria alone. Okay, so I'm going to separate it into three parts. Part 1, and this one will be on Manchuria. Okay. Okay, so now according to the textbook, when we look at Japanese foreign policy aims, okay, there are actually 5 aims. Okay, one is to build an empire. That's the first one. And to free Asians from Western control. That's the second one. The third one is to create a greater East Asia co-prosperity sphere, followed by finding room for growing population, and the last one to control resources. Okay, I would like to contrast right now with the notes that we have for Manchuria. Okay, I hope you can see this. If you can't, please take a look at your notes. Okay, under our military aims, we only have the first 3 as mentioned in the textbook. Okay, build Japan Empire, free Asians from Western control, and create a great East Asia co-prosperity sphere. But the 4th and 5th one are here for growing population, for Manchuria as a solution to the economic problems. Okay, basically to control resources. Okay, so that's the difference here. Just like to take note of that. I will get back. Okay, now let me go through the 5 points very quickly. Okay, this is from the textbook as well. Now, okay, let me just move on. Okay, to build an empire in the Asia Pacific region. Now you have to remember that at this point in time, Britain is still holding on to many colonies in Southeast Asia, like such as us, Malaya, and even India as well. And for Japan, they are the so-called leading power in Asia because in World War One, they fought on the good guy side. Okay, if you remember, they fought on the good guy side, and even before World War One started, they fought with Russia due to some border skirmishes, and they won. Okay, and that boosted their morale. Boosted their image by a lot, and to show that they are now the leading power. Okay, it's the first time when they defeated Russia. I think it's 1904, 1905. Okay, it's the first time ever that Japan, an Asian country, has defeated a so-called Caucasian country. Okay, so now they want to follow the examples of the other powers and to build up on their empire and to expand into areas that belong to Russia and China to build up on its empire. Okay, if you take a look at the previous map again, let's see, Japan is here, Manchuria is just right there. Above them is actually Russia, and of course to their left is China. Okay, Southeast Asia somewhere, Singapore somewhere here. Okay, and the Navy, like the Army, called for expansion to British, Malaya, and French Indochina and Dutch East Indies. Now, if you recall, it was the rise of militarism. Okay, so therefore the Navy and Army were very much in charge of what was going on and what was the foreign policies. Okay, they were the ones directing what is to happen. Okay, the government, or rather the emperor, doesn't really have much say. Okay, and by the 1930s they have expanded to include Formosa, which is actually Taiwan. Okay, this is Taiwan, Korea, Manchuria, and the Pacific Isles. Okay, so we'll be looking specifically at 1930s when they invade Manchuria for this. Now, another reason, so-called reason that they give, that they want to, or rather another aim of their foreign policy, sorry, yeah, these five things that we're talking about are the aims of the Japanese foreign policy. Okay, the second one is to free Asians from Western control. Okay, Japan feels that Asia should be freed from Western control because, well, most of us are all under Western control, except for maybe say Thailand. Okay, and since Japan was the strongest military power in Asia, they will feel that they have to lead the fight to end Western imperialism. Okay, and so they look upon themselves as the leaders of Asia. Okay, and this will make war in Asia Pacific more likely because they will have to wage war against the colonial powers in order to create their so-called Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. Okay, okay, now the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere includes countries such as Australia, New Zealand, Malaya, Burma, which is today's Myanmar, Thailand, French Indochina, which includes Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam, Dutch East Indies, which is Indonesia, China, and India. Okay, now Japan wanted these countries to be part of its empire, and these countries had oil, tin, and rubber, which were important resources for Japan to be self-sufficient. Now, these countries would also serve as markets for Japanese goods, and Japan would use this term co-prosperity to get Asians to believe that all the countries in the sphere would benefit economically through this arrangement. Now, if you remember Singapore history in Sec 2, well, this obviously is not true for us, okay, because we did not benefit at all. So, but this is one of the aims that they had in mind, okay. But as we go along, right, I will highlight to you that this could have been not exactly a aim right from the start. Okay, that means to say this isn't their main aim, the main aim of their foreign policy. Okay, this is a source which you might have seen in Sec 2, one of the SBQ worksheets that we've given you. Okay. Okay, another source that you should have seen in Sec 2 as well. Okay, now another reason is to find room for Japan's growing population. Okay, because their population is booming from 30 million to 70 million, and this rapid increase in population caused the problem of food shortage. So in order for them to solve this problem, they have to import food. And the growing population, they need space. Okay, and Japan is a mountainous country, and hence they lack the living space for the increase in population. Okay, and the military proposed overseas expansion, promising that it will provide more land and housing for to grow crops. Okay, now another thing, sorry, about this particular section is that they were continually migrating to United States. Okay, Japanese, and the United States, because of some racial law, they decided to stop the Japanese migration. Okay, I think that point will come later. Sorry, I might have mixed it up, huh? Okay, but just to mention it here first. Okay, to control resources, the Great Depression. Okay, that's why I said the timeline is important. Okay, this is shortly after the Great Depression. Okay, the Great Depression, if you recall, is late 1920s. They invaded Manchuria in the early 1930s. Okay, this is following which the invasion of Southeast Asia comes much later, 1940s. Okay, so please do not link these two together when you link the Great Depression to Southeast Asia. That one cannot link. Okay, so the Great Depression affected Japanese economy as well, and so they needed all the usual reasons for regarding this Great Depression, need suppliers of natural resources, markets to sell their goods, and Japan could not sell its goods to other countries because of protectionism. And so Japan's leaders looked to Manchuria as the solution to the country's economic problems. Okay, and what Manchuria could actually provide is cheap manpower, raw materials such as coal, timber, iron, soybeans, grain, and gold. Okay, and an overseas market for the Japanese goods. Okay, so as you can see, Manchuria is very rich in resources in which if Japan colonized Manchuria, they would have total control of. And if you look at the map over here, okay, Korea Okay, Korea is already under their control, so with that it's easy to just go straight and direct into Manchuria. Okay, Taiwan is under their control as well. mm, Alright, now this is from your textbook, so you can see Japanese territory as of 1928. Okay, is the pink color one, which is actually Korea lah, huh? Now, another reason why Manchuria will be important to them is because of strategic location. Okay, it will help to protect the Japanese islands, and also as the reasons as listed down here, which I mentioned some of it before on the previous slide. Okay, you can read that for yourselves. Okay, and you can see the great support that the Japanese army had. Okay, and next we will look at how did they actually go into Manchuria. Okay. Okay, now at this point, may I also just point out to you about the different factors regarding the main aim of Japanese foreign policy. Okay, so one of the possible issues is the main aims of Japanese foreign policy. Okay, one of the SEQs that they could possibly ask a question on, like for example, was, let's see, was the need to find space for their growing population one of the main aims of Japanese foreign policy. Oh, sorry, okay, that wasn't phrased so well, but I think you get the idea. Okay, what is the main aim of Japanese foreign policy? Okay, now, so those five factors that we just mentioned would provide the main aim. Okay. Okay, so if you do encounter a question like that, it's not just that these three down here: build the Japanese Empire, free Asians from Western control, and to create a Great East Asia co-prosperity sphere. This classifies as one of the aims as well, and this would classify as one of the aims as well. Okay, now let me point out to you also one of the O-level questions. Okay, it asked specifically, was Japanese aggression towards China the main aim of Japanese foreign policy? Okay, now here's the confusing part. Alright, now according to the map which you saw, wait, hold on. Okay, according to the map which you saw here, now Manchuria appears to be a country by itself. Okay, China, Korea, Japan, Taiwan, USSR. Okay, but I'm not sure how the syllabus wants to define it. Unfortunately, this is one of the confusing points about it. But Manchuria is supposed to be part of China. So when a given factor is aggression towards China, I would say that we can assume that it's also aggression towards Manchuria as well. Okay, aggression towards Manchuria as well, because Manchuria is supposed to be part of China. Okay. Okay, so I think I will stop here and I will create a new one for how did they exactly go into Manchuria. Okay, so for this entire lecture, to summarize, we are just focusing on the different aims of Japanese foreign policy. Okay, and there are 5 of them. Okay, so actually some of them are also linked together, but we will explore this more as we look at the SEQs that we have. Okay, so the next section will be about how exactly they go into Manchuria. Okay, and I will create another 2 more lectures for China as well as Southeast Asia.